There's a lot of unknown. We were talking about how much Fury or Usyk might have left. We don't know until we see Joshua back in, and also just the number of different trainers he's had, the amount of work that he still needs to put in to continue to improve. We don't know. And we also don't know in terms of the many different prospects who are working their way up. And so in my unknown section, I mentioned guys who are at different phases of their career. So there's Fabio Wardley, there's Moses Itauma, who we've talked about already. There's Lawrence Okolie, who's moved up from cruiserweight and bridgerweight, came in at 261 pounds the other week. There's Bakhodir Jalolov, the brothers Lenier and Dainier Pero, Mourad Aliev, Richard Torrez Jr., so the one guy here from the United States, Jared Anderson, another guy from the United States, but who we saw get destroyed by Martin Bakole. And then there's the potential return of Vladimir Klitschko, which I don't think would fit in terms of competitiveness, but would absolutely be a wrench in the machine, preventing some of these other guys from getting a big fight. Of those unknowns, who do you think has the best chance based on what you've seen so far, or is it still far too early to tell for all of them?
I think it's probably far too early for all of them. And if I stick to three of the British guys, when you look at Fabio Wardley, his performance against Fraser Clark was sensational and he looked really explosive and fantastic indeed. However, with all the respect in the world to Fraser Clark, it's Fraser Clark and he's not in there with Alexander Usyk, he's not in there with Tyson Fury, Martin Bakole, Daniel Dubois, any of those people. I've been around boxing enough. I've seen thousands of fights now over the years, especially live, and to watch people go from turning over as an amateur to a professional fighter to working their way up to world title fights. And when you see the levels in boxing, you can really see the levels in boxing. And people who have been around it enough, and I know that you would have seen this yourself, will understand what I'm saying with that. Moses Itauma, I can see why people are getting very excited about him because he is only 19 years old. When you speak to him, it's like he's 29 years old. It's like he's been around the professional game his whole life. He's not just a good fighter. He's not just a knockout artist. He's incredibly mature and has got a level head on his shoulders. And then Lawrence Okolie, who we spoke about a lot last week, obviously off the back of his knockout, he has already won a world title in two weight categories, if you want to call the other one a weight category, or as some people might call it, the WBC's kind of made up category. Although doesn't the WBA have a bridgerweight category as well? Is that correct?
They do, yeah. The disease is spreading.
Yeah, they're the only two though, aren't they?
Yeah, the WBO and IBF haven't picked that up yet. I think that while there is an opportunity for more money when you've got more sanctioning fees, maybe the fighters just aren't popular enough yet that they're going to water down all of their heavyweight fights, but we will see.
Yeah, so whether some people will agree or disagree, Lawrence Okolie on paper is a two-weight world champion. He can box as long as he don't do that awful holding stuff which he's been known for. Like I said last week, it looked like he was doing everything not to do that. He could be a genuine contender. So we'll see how it all unfolds. But an exciting few years ahead. Who most, if you had to get your money out your wallet and stick it on the table, out of the names which you've listed there, who would you expect or who would you feel would give you the least amount of risk when it comes to winning a world title?
We're picking a horse before we've seen them really run in all of the races.
That was a good quote. I'll give you that one.
Itauma might have the greatest amount of room between where he is now and his ceiling, but we still don't know until we know. There have been so many talented fighters that look like they have the goods and then they're just not that good. We want to see them in tougher fights, and I think that that is why I'm excited about following these guys over the next few years. We don't need to see them in a major world title yet, but we can follow their development, and it's nice to at least have a rogues gallery, a checklist of people who we are keeping an eye on as they develop. And if they face each other somewhere along the way, even better.
Something I will add to this is some promoters are absolute geniuses when it comes to paving the way for their fighters to get the opportunities which they want them to get. Some promoters are very friendly with the presidents of governing bodies, and we could do a week's worth of episodes on these kind of scenarios where there's people who appear in the top 10 or top 15 of whatever it is, WBC, WBO, IBF, WBA, etc. And depending on the relationship between a promoter and a fighter, and that could literally be any promoter and any fighter, as long as they are of a certain standard, the people who you least expect to win a world title could go on to do it, because a type of opponent which could end up fighting for a vacant world title belt, which is up for grabs. Literally anything could happen in boxing. That is why it makes it one of the most exciting sports, but also at times one of the most frustrating sports as well.